All right, let's talk about some basics for a single man or for a young married man, where the wife may or may not be a good cook, and where the man just likes to make meals in the kitchen, to work in the kitchen. It's pretty fun, actually, especially when you do not have the ingredients that you want. Sometimes it's fun because you learn to substitute things for the missing ingredients and come out with a great product anyway. Anyway, here's some basics that a single man in particular, like myself, needs to keep in the kitchen at all times. So I'm going to read from my list, otherwise I'll forget what I'm talking about. Oils and vinegars, basic oil. Go for something that's as healthy as you can get. And it turns out that the seed oils these days are getting kind of a bad rap, and maybe it's very well deserved. Play it safe and get a olive oil. An olive oil is always a safe way to go. So an olive oil and some vinegar. Could be some cheap basic apple vinegar. It could be a balsamic vinegar if you want. But I think it is more about the name if you're going for the highfalutin type vinegars. So just get something that's going to be something that you can mix with oil for a salad, or use to break down the fibers in a tough cut of meat, if that's what you need. All right, so you've got some oil and you've got some vinegar. Soy sauce. Soy sauce is good if you want to do any kind of Asian cooking, right? I don't really use much soy sauce. I've had a bottle of soy sauce for years, and I'm sure people would look at it and see the expiration date that is back to the 2010s, and they'd say that I'm crazy for keeping it around, but that's about how much I use it. So not very much. But oil and vinegar can come in handy. Dry goods. Dry goods are those things that can keep on their own. You don't have to keep them refrigerated or otherwise stored in a safe and healthy manner, which I suppose keeping them in a dried space is kind of a healthy manner. So yeah, it's got that. So dry goods could be anything like rice, right? Or beans, something that you want to use in cooking. To be honest with you, I don't do dry goods very much. I've got rice, but it's actually cooked rice and it's preserved, so that all I have to do is tear it open and then add water to it to moisten it up, and then fluff it up and use that in my cooking. And that's usually enough. I have some other stuff in my refrigerator that is a little bit more healthy, dating back to my keto days, which worked when I was on keto, but as soon as I stopped keto, the weight came back on with a vengeance, and I haven't been able to lose it since. But I'm still working on it. But cauliflower rice, right? That's cauliflower that has been diced up into small little bits, so it's like rice. I keep that in the freezer. And I pull that out as a substitute for rice or other staples that I might want to use, like potatoes in a particular dish. And the taste is close enough to actual rice that many people cannot tell the difference. I can tell the difference because I know that's what I was used. Other types of goods which aren't exactly dry goods, a tomato sauce of some type, either tomato sauce, spaghetti sauce, a ragu, or other just basic tomato paste or tomato sauce, even ketchup. Keeping enough ketchup on hand that you can add some brown sugar or some maple syrup or something in order to fill out the volume of the taste of that ketchup. You can use that in such simple dishes as sloppy joes, which sloppy joes may not mean that much in the United States, but here in Korea, people are wild about my sloppy joes. And I make those things, or I made those things for a recent church function in the most basic and the cheapest fashion or cheapest manner possible. And it was a big hit. You can keep some soup bouillon cubes, like chicken bouillon. That's pretty good. You can use that in cooking from time to time. I haven't had those in ages, so I take that for what it's worth. Maybe I'm missing out on what I could be cooking all along. Keep some basic flour and some sugar. Instead of sugar, I use stevia. So I keep a pretty good quantity of stevia stored up because it's got lower calories, of course, no calories. And it's got that sweet taste. So I'll use that liberally. Sometimes to make up for the extra flavor that you might get from sugar over stevia, I'll keep a small bottle of vanilla. And I'll add a couple drops of vanilla, up to a half teaspoon of vanilla. Usually much less than a recipe might call for. But it's enough to really add volume to the taste and make something taste better than it otherwise would be. Keep basic spices like salt, pepper, basil, and a few other spices. I've had my spices for, once again, years. I only use them a few shakes of that bottle at a time, or maybe just enough in my hand that I can see what I'm adding to the food that I'm cooking up, right? So I have more control over what goes in. But even then, I haven't had to replace those spices much, if ever, in the past 12, 13 years that I've been in Korea. And those things last forever. But adding just that little bit of flavor, or even look over the top of a dish, a potato dish that you have just cooked up, makes it look even more appetizing than it otherwise would be. Paprika, cumin, bay leaves, all of those kinds of things add a little bit of quality to the flavor of things. One-time purchase, stays in your cupboard. You'll probably even forget about it until you open the cupboard one time and you see it there and realize, oh, I had that all along, right? But when you need it, it's nice to have handy. Doesn't take up much space. Good basic ingredient for your single man or single person's kitchen for cooking on the fly. In your refrigerator, types of things that you should have in your refrigerator: eggs, butter. Butter is extremely important because many times when you would use an oil to saute some vegetables, for instance, or other ingredients, maybe garlics, you can throw in butter instead. And believe it or not, it's more healthy than the seed oils or other types of things that you might use to saute things. So butter, keep that around literally to make up for all of the other ingredients that are going to be unhealthy for your diet. It's kind of a save-all. Many people don't like it because they associate it with carbohydrates and calories. I don't really think that's an issue. If you're into keto or a carnivore, butter unsweetened and unsalted is actually good for you. So highly recommend. Milk, or an alternative to milk. Actually, I've used many of the alternatives. There's really no substitute for milk. So milk, don't drink it all the time because that'll make your belly big like mine. But when you keep it around for when you need it in a shake that you're going to make, or another dish where you need a little bit of milk, it's a good thing. So milk is necessary. It's also good for keeping down the heartburn. Cheese is always a good idea, not just for snacking, but as an ingredient. When you need to make up a quick sandwich for yourself, you can grill some bread and some cheese and make a great snack to get you by until your next meal. Mustard and ketchup and mayonnaise. Really cannot recommend mayonnaise enough. Mayonnaise, I know it's kind of a white guy thing, I suppose, but mayonnaise will fill out a salad dressing. It'll fill out a sandwich. It'll fill out many of your recipes with some quality. And you think about mayonnaise as its basic ingredients. And the basic ingredients are oil and egg. There's a few other things that go into it as well. But when you're short on eggs or short on oils, mayonnaise may substitute and bring in other ingredients into your cooking that you would not otherwise have thought about. So spicy stuff, you could do that. I don't really do it. I don't like spicy, but you can get some sriracha sauce or some Tabasco sauce and keep that around. Sriracha or Tabasco. Fresh produce. I don't really do much with fresh produce because the longer it stays in my meal, my refrigerator, the more quickly it goes bad. And so I end up buying a lot of produce and throwing most of it away, right? Because I'll get 1 or 2 meals out of it. And, well, it's an American thing, I suppose. We don't like to eat the same meal 3 times a day or 2 or 3 days in a row, right? We might do that after Thanksgiving when there's a lot of turkey that needs to be eaten up. We'll have sandwich after sandwich after sandwich. But for the most part, we don't eat that. In Korea, oftentimes a family will eat the same meal 3 times a day, right? Even breakfast. They don't have a separate category for breakfast foods. It's different. For us in the West, at least in America, we tend to be a little bit more particular about our breakfast. In any case, you kind of have to be in the right mood or have the right dishes available in order to have them accompanied by certain vegetables or a salad that goes with. And so having those things on hand, if you have just the amount that you need for that particular meal, that's a good thing, right? Which means dropping by the grocery store on the way home from your work or your hobby or whatever it is that you happen to be doing out of doors. It's good. Just get a small amount. Don't bother trying to keep large amounts unless there's large enough amounts that you can throw the remainder in the refrigerator or in the freezer and ice them, right? Turn them into ice. That'll keep them for a period of time. Proteins, of course, these I don't have any compunctions, any second thoughts about throwing them in the freezer, and that would be chicken, steak, beef. If you're alone, then when you eat, make sure that you're eating well, eating good foods, and getting a good cut of steak is going to be right on the top of that list. So I highly recommend those proteins. Keep those in your refrigerator. Tuna, cans of tuna, good for a quick sandwich. Also healthy. You can throw them into other types of dishes that you might cook, like a tuna casserole. I don't like tuna casserole, but you could use it for that kind of thing. Anyway, tuna is pretty handy as well. It's a good thing. You can even make up a tuna and mayo mixture and throw that on top of Ritz crackers or something like that. Whoa, which kind of goes in the dry goods category. Keep some crackers around. It's always good to have those for a quick snack or as a meal if you want to throw something like a tuna mix over the top, or maybe cheese or something like that. Freezer staples, mixed vegetables, frozen berries, frozen pizza for emergencies. When you just don't feel like making anything else, get out the pizza. Don't microwave it because it's going to turn that bread into rubber. It's going to be hard to bite. Sometimes it gets not just rubber. It's more like concrete. So stay away from that kind of thing. But you can, if you have a convection oven or a microwave that doubles as a convection oven, then just heat that thing up at a couple hundred degrees for 15 minutes, and that should be good to go. So frozen pizza, good for emergencies. Coffee and tea. I'm not really big into tea, but my best friend, who happens to be a beautiful female, does like tea, so I like to have that around for when she comes to visit, so I can make her something warm and cozy and tasty to drink. But generally speaking, I'll stick to the coffees, and so I'll have coffee that I can either pour into a drip maker where I can make my own coffee, or the little canisters, the pods that I can throw into whatever coffee maker I happen to be using. Right now it happens to be Dolce Gusto. I think that's what I'm using these days. Yeah, that's it. So think about getting these things together, and then in the next couple of videos I'll tell you what you can do to bring those things to life and make them all taste delicious. Oh, one last thing. Noodles. Dry goods. Noodles can be something that you can either boil and allow to fill out and become spaghetti or other types of noodles. I recommend for something that's quick and easy to use, ramen. Ramen. In America, I think we call it ramen. Here in Korea, they call it ramyeon. I'm not sure exactly why, but ramen is always good. And it's good because you can boil those things and make those ramen noodles soft, tender, and ready to eat within 3 or 4 minutes on the stove. And then you can drain them, cut up the noodles so that they're short enough. Add a couple of eggs, a little bit of sesame oil, and maybe another ingredient or two, a vegetable packet that might come in the ramen bag. Or some meat like bacon that you might slice up, chop up into it, and it makes for a fabulous, fabulous meal, right? It's another one that's a favorite to me, but also to the people that I have fed with it. So it's simple to make, very cheap, and very convenient to have those ingredients in the refrigerator or in the kitchen, right? So that's it for the kitchen ingredients segment. We'll come back with some basic recipes, figuring out what to do with these ingredients in the next couple of videos. All right, talk to you later.